corruption that's going on. Staying alive, trying to survive, that is how it is today. So as you go along your way, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Where you go when you're walking, what you say when you're talking, you got to be careful. You got to be careful, careful.
Good afternoon to all listeners. Good afternoon to those of you who on your commute, as we always say, to and from work. Good afternoon to those of you who are now picking up shift. We say a pleasant good afternoon to you, those of you who in your maxis, your taxis, your personal vehicle, that you have taken the time just to spend some time with us here on the Third Empire, on the street 91.9 FM. Good afternoon to the members of the pavilion. Those of you who make up the pavilion, of callers who call in to weigh in on the different topics, and you give your opinion and you give your counsel, you give your warning, whatever you have to contribute within all the boundaries of respect and diligence. We do accept all comments here. This is not we want to always repeat that this is not a political show. We will have views and we will have observations and opinions. That is all in keeping. And everybody is free to voice their opinion. You don't have to agree at all with everything we say, and you may give reasons so. But all in all, we try to have this program a little more solution oriented rather than just talk about the problem. There are enough people talking about the problems that exist. There's no future and utility in beating a dead horse. Good afternoon to the owners and operators of this great radio station, Mr. Neil IWER George himself and his family, and by extension his staff, who make this show possible with their work all the time behind the scenes to make us amateur announcers and program hosts come off pretty decent. That is not credited to us all the time. We do have backup staff behind the scenes who cover for some of the mistakes we make, and we want to say thanks to them. And last but not least, and not really in the order of importance, we want to say thanks to God for another day above ground. There are people who did not make it today, and I on that note, condolences to a former client of mine who I learned just yesterday passed, Miss Asha Toussaint, under a lot of stress and some other debilitating circumstances. But I just learned yesterday that my client, my former client, passed, and a young lady working hard to provide. So there are people who did not make it to today, and we want to give thanks for that. There's so many things we can begin talking about, but the merchant reminds us that we got to be careful. We got to be careful. How we talk, how we're moving. Good. You have to be very, very, very careful in this world today. And on that note, we begin with an article by Derek Ramsamouche. So, political analyst Derek Ramsamouche says that Prime Minister Kamala Bissad-Processor must abandon what he described as a Trump-like and egoistical approach to CARICOM and accept that Trinidad is no longer the regional superpower it once was. Speaking on CNC3's Morning Brew, Ramsamouche argued that CARICOM can adjust its own budget without Trinidad's support, warning that the country that stands to lose more if the PM and her administration continues to widen the rift with the regional bloc. Addressing the current impasse between Trinidad and Tobago and the CARICOM government over the handling of elections of Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett, Ramsamouche said threatening to withdraw funding due to a disagreement is out of the Donald Trump playbook. It is unfortunate that the Prime Minister chose to adopt a Trump-like position when it comes to institutions of raising the issue of money and raising the issue of withdrawing those funds, he posited. According to the government, Trinidad contributes almost $127 million annually to CARICOM. That's $127 million. However, Ramsamouche said that CARICOM will not crumble if the financing is withdrawn. We must recognize that the Caribbean community has changed, and people like Guyana and Suriname and I dare say our other smaller islands are having greater economic success than was previously held when you had these financial arrangements. He added, so I don't really believe CARICOM is going to miss much of the 20%. They will make their adjustments and you have the economy. But can Trinidad afford any form of trade restrictions when it comes to making their commodities expensive? The political analyst believes that the government is overestimating its strength. But the reality is you can no longer do that because the other elements of the Caribbean economy are growing at a much stronger rate. Guyana is basically running at 8% minimum. Suriname is going to catch up quickly. We are no longer the powerhouse. He said if Trinidad and Tobago government can afford to continue paying its share to CARICOM due to internal revenue issues, then it should just do so. The notion about Trinidadians believing that they are the economic powerhouse. You used to be the economic powerhouse. And therefore, if you're saying that you want to reduce your expenditure in CARICOM because your economy cannot afford it, then simply say so. But don't look for an excuse. Ramsamouche underscored that the entire fallout with CARICOM is to demonstrate a political ego that is larger than life, but short in reality. We must also recognize that there are a number of international positions, one of which I believe Trinidad is looking to acquire, that would require CARICOM support. So the end game perhaps will be one to use perceived influence to get the way that is favorable to Trinidad and Tobago. Ramsamouche is concerned that the Bissad-Processor administration is seeking to turn this country into another state within the United States of America, into another state within the United States of America. Because what is coming over, because that is what's coming over, that we want to affix ourselves to the U.S., lose our national identity, lose our sense of pride in our people and our economy by saying we have to go cap in hand, begging, following the policy of Donald Trump, not the United States of Donald Trump. It is Trumpism that she is attempting to practice in the region. Now, I have veered away from this CARICOM discussion because I really think, honestly, it's futile, and I do not see it as warranting much attention. Apart from the brouhaha that has been in the public domain, I'm of the opinion that they are all friends and comrades, and they will make up and kiss and make up soon, and we will hear nothing about this. I have read and seen much about CARICOM in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, more than I've seen in my entire life. Again, this too shall pass. That is my attitude towards it. I believe these are all friends, these are all comrades, and whatever we read in the public domain, the audience is the one who gets divided and torn apart by trying to take sides and all sorts of things, and I don't think that's necessary. I think the reality is CARICOM is important to us, and we know that financially. So people who trade words and say things in the public, and something is published and we get all emotionally entangled, I do not see it that way. However, I am not the political analyst Dr. Derek Ramsey-Rouge. Mr. Ramsey-Rouge, he has a different opinion. He has a different opinion. So I'm going to put to you. He says that Trinidad is no longer the regional superpower it once was. Trinidad is no longer the superpower it once was. That is his thesis. Trinidad is no longer the superpower that it once was. I will say that again. Trinidad is not the superpower it once was. And I quote, but the reality is you can no longer do that because other elements of the Caribbean economy are growing at a much stronger rate. Guyana is basically running about 8% minimum. Suriname is going to catch up quickly with that. So we are no longer the powerhouse. That matches with his initial thesis that Trinidad and Tobago is no longer the regional superpower it once was. I want you to weigh in on that. What is your opinion? The number to call is 342-0081-466-5391. In your opinion, is Trinidad no longer the superpower it once was? How do you evaluate, and do we not romanticizing with what happened when CARICOM was formed and all of this and the collapse of federation, and 10 minus 1 is 0, and we know all of that. This 2026. Is Trinidad still a regional superpower? Do you see? He said CARICOM will not crumble if financing, or Trinidad and Tobago's financing, is withdrawn. How do you see it in your neck of the woods? How do you see it? Who stands to benefit or lose more with this impasse if it takes a different turn? And I predict that it won't. I do not believe that it would to any significant degree, but those are my opinions. I want to know what you think. The number to call is 342-0081-466-5391 on the Third Empire this afternoon. Is Trinidad the superpower that we once were? Are we that still superpower? Are we overplaying our hand? According to Mr. Ramsey-Rouge, we're not up there anymore. To put it colloquially. That was a long time. But the other regional economies, the smaller economies, according to Mr. Ramsey-Rouge, are growing and developing at a phenomenal rate. And, our sheer size may give us a particular advantage in our manufacturing sector. But according to Mr. Ramsamouj, we are overplaying our hand. We are overplaying our hand, and we are not the superpower that we want. We're fantasizing about that time when everything was Trinidad, and maybe we took advantage of that relationship, like any domestic relationship. Is Trinidad overplaying their hand? Are we the superpower that we once were? Good afternoon, Senior Matheson.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all our listeners. It's nice to be here on this Monday evening. Whether Trinidad and Tobago is the superpower, I don't think we was ever a superpower. In that sense, we were a little more fortunate than the other Caribbean islands to some extent in some areas. But we've, like most countries that have grown commercially and otherwise, we the things like crime and all that kind of thing really followed us to the extent that it has weakened us. And to answer the question whether we are the superpower, we do have some. We do export a lot of things to the Caribbean that is not very easily replaced. But I think we are overplaying our position right now, and that could have consequences. And that is my position. I think with what we are doing, not just with what's happening, but with what happened with the Venezuela issue and all the other issues as it relates to foreign policies and that kind of thing, we are kind of like outpricing ourselves. That's not a good thing to think about right now. I think we need the Caribbean more than ever right now.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I do have some regional friends involved in foreign affairs and these things from at a pretty high level. And one such friend was saying to me, we pay more for domestic goods because of the CET and the protection that Trinidad enjoys. It is cheaper for us to buy these goods in Miami. It is cheaper to bring these goods from Latin America.
Yeah.
But these goods are protected under the common external tariff that Trinidad enjoys because Trinidad is a member of CARICOM and it's protected. Good? But every day we live in these small islands and pay on all our shelves are things from Trinidad. You know?
Yeah.
And we are told that, we are told about this brother-sister relationship
Caribbean,
and Caribbean integration and all these things.
And this is what I'm saying, that we might end up overplaying ourselves, and that mightn't be too much a good thing for us at this time. I think we had to be cognizant of all those things.
Especially what is happening with larger geopolitics. Don't forget the number to call is 342-0081-466-5391.
Yeah.
The larger geopolitics tells us that things are shifting.
Very much so.
A bit.
And very, very much so. Very much so. And it hasn't. It's poised to shift even further.
It's poised to shift even
And,
further.
and when that happens, I mean, the best people to huddle around is their family,
Correct.
which is the Caribbean.
And the grass, no matter how we partner up and we nicen up, the grass is going to get trampled. These are unintended consequences of international trade and negotiations and wars. You know, nobody's studying Trinidad when they're fighting the war. But if we do come into harm's way because of economic issues, that's just it.
And that's what we see.
Small states, vulnerability, Arthur Lewis.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we see. Trinidad and Tobago, some country, you see, we have been resting on our landings for quite some time.
Yeah.
and taken for granted certain things. Although the general public doesn't feel that we have that kind of freedom and we have that kind of benefit.
We do have a caller. Let me take this call. Good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Roxon, Mr. Matterson.
Good afternoon, caller.
This phone seems to be giving some problem. You get a feedback there?
Yeah, but you recognize the kind of benefit you have, like in hurricane season and that kind of thing when those other islands sometimes.
Hello?
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. We now hear you.
All right. What is happening here? I don't, well, the first question you ask is whether, in fact, Trinidad and Tobago is still a powerhouse within the region. That's CARICOM. And I would say no, and I would agree with Mr. Matterson and your good self as regards that. And the issue of Trinidad leaving the CARICOM, I don't think that's an option. I think that, people are moving towards trade blocks.
Yes, I hear.
People are moving towards trade blocks. They're forming trade blocks all over the world, all over the place, right? And what benefits you derive from trade blocks is that you have market for your goods. You have the opportunity to expand your employment. You can generate income, earn forex, right? And so I don't see Trinidad leaving CARICOM. And just to shift aside from it, leaving CARICOM ought not to be left up to any government per se, or a prime minister or a cabinet.
Yes.
And you say you don't want people to go back to the federation, but Trinidad has a way, a kind of autocratic. For example, when Jamaica decided to leave the federation, there was a referendum. The people decided that they wanted to leave.
Yes.
This never happened. This never took place in Trinidad. Is that the then Prime Minister met with the General Council of the PNM, and they decided to leave. Right? And I confirmed that with an article written by some weeks ago by Hamid Ghani. Right? So that's not an option. You need to expand. CARICOM has some challenges there with respect to how it's functioning, the effectiveness, the efficiency of it, the credibility of it. All these things matter. And as I said before, J.P. Patterson, he is former Jamaican Prime Minister, he said, listen, CARICOM is going, he's concerned where it's going, and it is in need of dire reform. Mm-hmm. I listened to Gonzalez with respect to the CARICOM. He also, that is Anthony Gonzalez from the Institute of International Relations, and he expressed similar views. And today I read an editorial from the Jamaica Gleaner, and they want spot with respect to CARICOM and where it's going, and the fact remains is that the problems that it faces and the need for them to do urgent reform. And they went through you probably may not want to hear that, but the fact remains is that they went through the issue with respect to Trinidad and the question of the appointment of the Secretary General. I commented very early in your program about this CARICOM and the Secretariat, and where I said it seemed to be a dead matter, because we spoke about people like Edwin Carrington, McIntyre, Bramfall, Dame Barrow, and all these people within the CARICOM.
Yes.
And we saw how dynamic they were and how they were pushing CARICOM. People knew who they were. People knew what the functions were and what, where the CARICOM was going. They played a very pivotal role. Just as this woman Lucinda Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Union. Everybody, and she's there every time. She's there. She's active, just like. And you compare that with respect to Sudat and all that. And the Gleaner made mention, and you had a Caribbean newspaper again, Times, who also spoke about it. So I'm saying that the view is not just one that is. This issue is not just a local issue which the newspaper, the media seem to play down and give a one-sided approach to it. But the thing is, we discuss within the CARICOM, within the various countries that comprise the CARICOM. So I don't think, the thing about it is that I heard of something yesterday, they said those who tolerate mediocrity, they themselves would become mediocre. And we have to strive as a people in the Caribbean, whether on the national level or in the regional level. We have to strive for excellence, not what is going on, what is taking place there, and say, well, look, we want no bacchanal, and we know you have to get it right. This is why we are where we are today. That is why the region is where it is today, because we don't strive for excellence. We accept anything, and we make excuses. That is how the people in Tobago behave. So when people behave in a particular way, that is part of the culture, and that is how. And that is why where we are, we're not moving forward because of our attitude towards matters which I think should occupy some level of importance. I don't want to take too much of your time.
No, you go ahead.
Right. So that is how I stand with the thing. And yes, you have the question, Ram Samouj. I listen to him sometimes, but some of the things, I just like any other writer or sometimes a commentator, I listen. Sometimes I don't take certain things seriously and that kind of thing, because to me, in my analysis, in my critical thinking, I think you do make some of these things, and that is expected, because you can't just, everything people just throw there, you just run with that. You have to go through it, look at it logically, you consider it, and you take a more reasoned approach to trying to understand where they're going with that. Right? So that is where I am with respect to this CARICOM fiasco that is taking place. But the fact remains is that we must understand that the institution is not functioning as is expected. And when I look at other institutions, when I look at what happened before, when I looked at people, even Manning, even Williams, all these people coming up the road, Patterson, Barrow, all these people, I was fortunate to be a young person, but I saw how they operated. I understood how CARICOM operated. And therefore, I feel I'm able to tell that this thing ain't going nowhere. This thing is a real crisis, and it is not just my view. It is the view of other people who I believe have the experience and whatnot, who understand what the CARICOM should be all about, and realize that this thing is failing.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Mr.
Quite right. Yeah, we could understand your views, and we could take a lot from what you've said. There's a way in which these things must be done. We have another caller. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Listen, I like to be fair and put fear where it belongs.
Go ahead.
In my view,
Yes.
CARICOM have been going very good. Of course, they are not perfect.
Correct.
As human beings are not. They will have their make a mistake here and there. But to judge them, I think they were going very fairly okay. Until Mrs. Kamala Bissessa come in with this uninvited business. Let's look at the facts. Mrs. Bissessa went across there in the summit, right? She reached across there. She gave a speech, a very venomous speech, I should say, because at the end of her speech, she said, "Who vexed, lost." The following day, when the meeting was supposed to be held, she jumped on a plane. She had a meeting with the American Secretary, Mr. Oboro. I can't pronounce his name, but you all know what I'm talking about.
Marco, yeah.
She had one meeting, and that one meeting was with that American. After that meeting, gentlemen, she jumped on a plane and head back to Trinidad with no regards for CARICOM and the meetings that were planned for the Caribbean, for CARICOM. No regard for them. She jumped on a plane, she head back to Trinidad. Lo and behold, they had a meeting. She was invited. She said she cannot go. That's supposed to be where they appointed the secretary of CARICOM. She will send Sober, she said. Mr. Sober says he cannot go because he will get seasick. Now I said, but will Mr. Gonzalez go in with this? Because if Mr. Gonzalez is who dropped the ball. But Mr. Sobers came in a press conference on Thursday last week and he said, yes, I did say that I couldn't go because I will get seasick. But I was as joke I was making. Joke, a big man telling you, you know, a big CARICOM telling you, this man says joke was making. But you know, on Facebook, they're showing him he will get seasick from a trip from St. Kitts to Nevis, which only takes 5 minutes. But Facebook showing him on a boat going to Nelson Island. That takes about 45 minutes. 45 minutes. So, gentlemen, these people are taking us for fools. Now, even after Mrs. Bissetta made she growl about not being invited, and even Mr. Sobers, they had an emergency meeting last week, Friday, to deal with that matter. Okay, if Trinidad and Tobago is having a problem with what went on, we are going to call a meeting and ask them to attend the meeting. And we could deal with this matter once and for all. They never went to the meeting. They never attended. And the meeting was called for them to voice their opinion, to voice whatever problem they had. They never attended. And this is the kind of disrespect that JIV government is showing to CARICOM. We are looking very bad because CARICOM is supposed to be a united body. As I said, they're not perfect. But if you are saying as the Prime Minister that you have a problem with the way things went, and we open a door for you to come, even if it means having a re-election, we'll discuss it. You never return. You never come. And to add salt to the wound, you already know, I will withhold my money that I give to CARICOM, I will take it back. I will cut it in half. Like how Chum does talk. My people, let me tell you something. Kamlan, they're very reckless. This government, they're very reckless. And at any cost, they are going about to make Trinidad and Tobago be the laughing stock. And the Caribbean now, they want to throw in that to make the Caribbean now look like a laughing stock. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Although to you all and the rest of Trinidad and Tobago, listen, I don't know why this thing dragging out so much. Everybody in the UNC party know. All the members and all the people in Trinidad know what's going on. You understand? So I don't see why they don't speak up and talk the truth. Everybody in the party know. So who on seat, who not on seat, everyone. They know exactly what's taking place. Why is sounding with all that nonsense and talk? You understand? Drop that man. They will know that all the Caribbean know. All the rest of the continent know. Once the listener knows, they know what's going on. The Prime Minister know. Sobers know. They know the line, they know what they want to do. Listen to the man too.
You know, I don't feel we have any real man. These are storm and a teacup for me, right? This, in my opinion, is a non-issue. I heard you said earlier on when I was on my way that you don't know why we having this discussion. Really, I mean, we have to have the discussion, but really, this is an honest issue for me, you know. And I think we are somewhat making our position in the Caribbean even more difficult in the way people, the Caribbean sees us, right? Especially places like Barbados and St. Vincent to some extent. These are storm in a teacup. We are losing to a large extent the, I don't want to say the hegemony, but what we had in relation to, you know, the strength we had against the people of the wider Caribbean.
And that is what Derek Ramsey-Moody is asserting, and he's asserting that is because somehow we feel we are who we were. The economic dominance we had, and Trinidad was the place. That's how it was in those days. Yeah. Everybody want to go Trinidad and Trinidad and Trinidad and Trinidad. But it is different. I mean, we still boast. Let's take it colloquially. We always say we are the best carnival on earth. I don't know how many carnivals you've been to, but the other job is doing well. The Grenadians are doing very well. The Jamaicans have their own. So it is not like the 1960s and 70s. And economically, look what Guyana is doing. We used to laugh at the Guyanese just a couple years ago. You know?
Guyana putting on a port will make trying to make it look like a joke.
Yeah. Suriname is catching up. So, you know, when you negotiate, you know, when you're playing, it's like Trump. He realized that, all right, Iran took back the Trump card.
Trump could still do things to look big.
Yeah.
We
can't. We're not even in a position.
We can't do to look big.
He realized that you can't get around the blockade, so he blockaded the blockade. I mean, when you think of it, people laugh, but that's the only thing he could really try to do, because you cannot get around the blockade. So you blockading the blockade and hoping that everybody else will get on board and help. But as you rightly just said, we are not in that position.
We're not.
And we can't play those cards.
We don't have them kind of marbles.
We don't have them kind of marbles.
We don't have no bongo.
No. We still have to deal with humility.
And the thing is, we kind of making ourselves, pricing ourselves out of the market because,
correct.
Listen, so many of our manufacturers need the Caribbean market in a significant way.
Correct.
In a time when there are a lot of competition in Latin America,
yes,
a lot of competition even in the US and other places,
yeah.
Which, as you say, would provide these goods probably even cheaper.
What would happen if one of these countries open up to China?
Well, this is the next thing.
Simple. Say China, right, we done with CARICOM. You be our big brother. Good? So, the dominant figure that we maybe were, 1 from 10 is 0. And if all they don't like it, take it and go. And etc. That kind of I think a lot of these things, we bring personality into it. These leaders bring their personality into it. So nothing wrong with the people. We have good relationships with our neighbors. Cricket, we playing football. The other day we were jumping and whining on each other in Carnival. Nobody was studying CARICOM. And then Jamaica just completed its Carnival. And then you'd have Spice Mass coming up. And then all these, and the music and the people are crop over coming up. The people and the music and the cooperation on that level is going quite fine. But the politicians seem to be very hard pressed at making certain things a feud. And as you rightly point out, we do not have those cards anymore. There are alternatives. You have to look at trade blocks.
Many alternatives.
Many alternatives.
And those alternatives will come in very, very necessary and handy probably in the next few months.
Especially in the next few months. You take us back to a time before the war, maybe and all you could play thing.
We
But-
had that kind of hand to play. And listen, in America, don't try to hang on that coattail. That man who running the whole day,
Yeah.
he about himself.
He changes his mind quickly. He changes his mind, and
Anybody
these
who could read the tea leaves will understand that.
Yeah.
If you don't believe it, ask Ukraine. If you don't believe it,
ask Ukraine
ask Ukraine.
for real. They were sold.
Ask Saudi Arabia and all them kind
Yes.
of places.
They were sold. We were getting some of those geopolitics coming up because they are very, very interesting developments
Very
as far as the Islamabad discussions went or did not go.
But I love Iran too bad.
Good, but we're seeing masterful moves and counter moves.
Iran playing this game real nice, and I think they're taking advice from China and Russia.
So we will see. Well, the latest American move will bring China and Russia a little more vocal, because if you blockade the blockade, the ships that used to come to us
You know that is a joke, right?
will be, well, we will see. We will see this. I think the time has gone. I don't know if any bullet has been fired or any bomb, but we will see. But Trinidad now, the darling of the Caribbean, everybody want to come here. This is the best place to have a meeting, and there are other alternatives these days, you know. There are other alternatives. There are other people who are doing well,
Right.
you know, within CARICOM. And I do not understand the reason behind all of this brouhaha. If you do not support the re-election of Dr. Carla Burnett, you are one out of how many? Okay, you don't support her. CARICOM goes on. That's in any democracy. You don't have a veto on it. Good. President Irfan Ali has openly backed the
Because
reappointment.
I'm thinking if she was supported unanimously and we were there,
It would not change the outcome.
that'll be one from.
So your presence and your absence, and you know,
Why are you making a.
Guyana President Dr. Irfan Ali has openly backed the reappointment of Dr. Carla Burnett and defended the process behind it. Speaking with Guardian Media yesterday, Gaston Brown took a more cautious approach, saying that he does not want to add fuel to the fire. Antigua and Barbuda has now been drawn into a growing controversy after Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Sean Subas claimed that both Antigua and Barbuda and the Bahamas were also barred from attending the retreat in Nevis. Subas argued that this was because their heads of governments had already departed, and CARICOM did not recognize the authority delegated to the officials to act as head of their respective delegations.
And that's plausible. That could possibly happen.
Guardian Media asked Gaston Brown if he had any issues with the reappointment of Dr. Carla Burnett. He said he would only say the Rasta Dreadman Gassy Dread is staying above the fray. Ain't pouring any fuel into the flame. Differences among my brethrens and sisterins in CARICOM. Seen? So he gave a idle kind of response. Why? It's very prudent. I don't know that he needed to add anything to it. So we will shift gears a bit after the break. Just a little more of this, and then we'll go into some other issues. So stay tuned with us here on 91.9 FM.
See you on the other side of the hour.
See you on the other side of the hour on the Third Empire. Stay tuned and stay locked for more. This is the Third Empire.
The pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
Peace of God be multiplied unto you in the precious name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is Redemption Hour, a gospel program where God will reveal His mind to you on how to live a fulfilled life and to please Him in all areas. Join Pastor Femi Afolabi, the National Overseer of Deeper Christ Life Ministry, Trinidad and Tobago, and other seasoned ministers for a time of divine encounter as they minister and pray for you every Saturday by 9 o'clock in the morning of this station, Street FM 91.9. Our church is Deeper Life Bible Church, number 1 Cochrane Street, opposite Tunapuna Police Station, Tunapuna. The times of our services are as follows. Sunday worship service, 9 a.m. Monday Bible study, 6 p.m. Thursday revival hour, 6 p.m. The redemption hour is a life-changing moment you cannot afford to miss. For special prayer or counseling, contact Pastor Femi Afolabi on 778-9933. God bless you as you listen to this program. Jesus is Lord.
What are you doing? Big D, big fun, KFC, so we big on the ground. The big nation, cause they don't know we were the crown. Say what you want, KFC, so we lead in front. We are big nation, TNT and KFC, one motion.
Come to KFC, let we hold our vibe, and let we join together, because KFC is life. It's a big deal.
Say what you want, KFC, so we lead in front. We are big nation, TNT and KFC, one motion.
TechFlex TT Limited, the #1 computer store in Trinidad and Tobago, has all your tech needs. We have the latest computers, powerful MacBooks, and affordable Chromebooks for school and work, providing new and refurbished options to suit everyone's budget. Also, we carry a variety of printer options and ink solutions for your home and office needs. Need repairs done? Our experienced technicians can solve your tech problems. Visit us now at any of our 2 locations, Wilson Road, Scarborough, next to Royal Castle, or Penco Street, Montrose, Chagonas. Call 235-4919 for more info. TechFlex TT Limited. Affordable tech. Exceptional service.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday
from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM.
Hear my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
It's a whole lot of flavor wrapped up in a twist. Some of them try to rap, but they don't rap like this. With crispy KFC tenders and lettuce and carrots and shredded tortilla embedded, perfect wherever you headed. Dripping with that creamy mayo and that mambo sauce. Let me tell them one more time to get my point across. It's a craveable, crunchable, movable, functional, flavorful meal that your taste buds must endorse. KFC, crunch twist, crunch twist. None of them, they don't make it like this.
Introducing KFC's Crunch Twist, a flavorful wrap with a delicious difference for just $29.95. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
And we're back on our program, Third Empire. So we could continue for a while, just a little bit while. Do you think that we are overplaying our hand in terms of CARICOM and Caribbean integration and the powerhouse that we were? Do you think that we are actually weakening our own position when it comes to these things and how we treat with CARICOM? What are your views? The number to call is 342-0081-466-5391. Are we overplaying our hand as a nation? Are we overplaying our hand as Trinidad and Tobago? Are we the powerhouse that we were? Is everybody dependent on us still? Is this still the darling of the Caribbean, where we can exploit relationships, and at one time the Trinidad is not an ATM. Our CARICOM neighbors that dependent on us, or as dependent on us as before? And those are the very, very hard questions, very harsh realities. What are your views? The number to call is 342-0081 4665391. I myself wonder why the politicians are making this such a distasteful public discourse, when in truth and in fact, tomorrow confronts everybody, hug and kiss and drink tea and share wine and toast. Are we overplaying our hand? Good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, afternoon to the panel there.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Tell me something. What is an agenda?
What is?
What is an agenda in a meeting or a retreat or something?
Well, an agenda to me sets...
Wouldn't be a profile of what is going to be discussed?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, was the selection of Miss Barnett on the agenda?
I didn't see...
No.
It wasn't. Okay.
And when it comes, it's when Kamala leave and they realize that and they blank sobers.
Right.
That's the whole thing. Mm-hmm.
Right.
They wanted to get rid of the Trinidad delegation so they could do what they want. Because they know they would have get something. I don't know if they could have known they would have get 12. Whatever. But they would have kicked it first. And Kamala didn't know at that time that was on the agenda because it wasn't on the agenda. It's simple like that.
But do you think, caller, do you think that would have changed the outcome of the decision, though?
Well, we don't know. That's an afterthought.
No, but it's one man, one vote. It's not.
Yeah, but I was telling you, that wasn't supposed to be because it wasn't on the agenda. How you will say yes? That's an afterthought because it happened, but it never was supposed to happen.
Okay.
Maybe when they get the other 12 to come to the meeting, they tell them what to do. That is the problem.
Okay.
That's why they blank the tree, because they know in front the tree go blank it.
Okay.
That is the problem.
Okay. Thank you, caller. Thank you for your views. All right. Those are some different views. We have different views here, and all views are welcome on the Third Empire, and that is exactly what we want. We don't have to see it one way. This is not groupthink. But I want to know, what are your views? Call me on 342-0081 4665391. Those numbers are 342-0081 4665391. What are your views concerning that, or this impasse? Is it much to do about nothing? Do you see it as deep-rooted and will fragment CARICOM relations? Do you see it as just differences of opinion and maybe personalities that are playing out in the public domain? In any case, is that how we deal with discrepancies? Is that the forum that we deal with those things? Do we publish those things? Any particular organization may have its eccentricities, its tiffs. Do you take it to the Express and let the Express deal with it? What leverage do we have? What leverage do we really have? I taking back my marbles? Is that what you're saying? You're taking back your marbles? I ain't playing again. Taking back my marbles. I'm going home. Put my marbles in my bag and I'm gone. Is that the end of the game? The number to call is 342-0081 4665391 on the Third Empire. Are we overplaying our hand? Are we the dominant economic superpower that we were, so that we hold some type of leverage and strangle, for want of a better words, over our CARICOM neighbors? Are we that country in 2026? Or do we have, the truth is, we have problems that we own. We own things to figure out. We have our own cake to slice. Are we in that dominant position where we could hold people to ransom? What are your views? The numbers to call are 3420081, 4665 Or do you stand like me, and an aside, wondering why is all of this even happening? Why is that? Why is this being discussed? Are there not more pertinent regional issues that are maybe more productive for public consumption? Do we not have a Caribbean single market and economy to finish, delineate and integrate? Do we not have Caribbean transportation to work out? An alternative means of transportation apart from the airlines? Do we not have all these things on hold? And do we not have all these things on our to-do list for many, many years? Than to be publicly arguing over the appointment of the Secretary General. And we are one. There are many. We are one. If we don't agree, we're entitled to do so. We don't support. And I don't think the issue is really about whether we agree or we don't, because I think it's well established that we don't have to agree. We don't have to nominate who they nominate. We don't have to agree with their nomination. It is not like that. I would think that our decisions are under much more scrutiny than that. I hear the argument about the process. But even if you feel that the process was obfuscated for some reason, is that what we do? Are we therefore overplaying our hand and trying to leverage a relationship that in truth and in fact no longer exists? We are not the superpower, the Caribbean superpower that we were. That is what one commentator is saying. We are not the superpower that we were, and therefore we must act differently. We must act differently. So in good news, and you know good news is always followed by some kind of controversy, NGC reports 3.3 billion profit, highest in 11 years. That must be good news. The National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago has recorded a profit of 3.285 billion for the year ending December the 31st, 2025. Highest in 11 years, the Prime Minister announced. Speaking in the Parliament a short while ago, she described NGC as a crown jewel. It is the most important of our state enterprises. Wow. And the foundation of our economic survival and development, he said. Citing unaudited results, and that's the first thing, right? This is unaudited. Prime Minister Bissessa said the performance reflected a significant turnaround. It is with a great sense of national pride and deep sense of accomplishment that I announce today that NGC has reported a profit after tax of 3.285 billion.
That's good. That's good news.
She said that the result was not just a number, but a demonstration of the country's potential of national asset managed properly, etc., job creation. What they couldn't do in 10 years, we have done in 10 months. Here comes the bacalao. So Mr. Young credits the P&M policies for NGC's 3.3 billion profit. Former Prime Minister and former, you know that term, that title, former Prime Minister, is very, very misleading. Eh? Misleading. I would not even write that.
But anyway,
It's so tongue in cheek. I wouldn't take that.
That was like
according to the Tunisia mama guy, man.
You know it wasn't going to last for
Former Prime Minister, well, he was in fact, and former Energy Minister Stuart Young has rejected claims by Prime Minister Kamala Bissas-Bissessa that the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago 3.3 billion profit reflects the current administration's performance, arguing instead that it stems from measures implemented under the previous People's National Movement.
Well, you should thank the UNC because the UNC had changed it.
In a Facebook post a short while ago, Young said that the 3.285 billion profit reported by NGC for the year ending December the 31st was largely as a result of the restructuring of the Atlantic LNG completed in December 2023 under the PNM. So, a goal score, and two people call out who really scored the goal.
One saying the score is our own goal, and the next one saying it's a genuine goal we scored.
One saying the ball hit me, then went in the goal. You take the shot, you know. You take the shot, but the ball hit me and went in the post. Yeah. No, I didn't shoot, you know. My head was turned in the next direction. And the ball come off me. I saw a goal coincidentally.
You know, I find we gotta stop this kind of politics, boy.
It is so
childish.
Childish, you have better struggle with that.
Yeah. We gotta stop this kind of politics, but we gotta see Trinidad and Tobago. I say this all the time. This Trinidad and Tobago, we gotta see it as that. So what if it happened under the UNC? Or what if it was the PNM policy?
And if it was the PNM policies that did it, I thank God for them.
Yeah.
You know? I thank God for them.
Insignificant. Like we talk about how we will prudently manage those
what
assets.
we do with the money is more important.
Yeah.
And that's the discussion and nothing.
All the people of Trinidad and Tobago
go and benefit.
From it. Yeah.
So to sit down and, what do you call it, a peeing competition, and who pee the furthest, while you all are tiffing about when and who under which government it came in, at least they agreed that there was a profit.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear them disputing that. We saw unaudited financial statements. That I leave that for the accountants to discuss. But they did say that it happened. Now the argument is, who make it happen? It was me or you.
Who policies facilities?
And it doesn't make sense on either side of the divide, and I'm being very plain. If you say that, so all the bad things that happen after the election is the UNC fault, but all the good things happen after the election, we would take credit for it. And take it in the reverse.
Yeah.
Right? The UNC cannot claim either that only the good things happen after the election is ours. But the bad thing is the PNM fault.
That's what I say.
This discussion is...
Yeah, that is asinine.
Correct.
We gotta move to the next level. Boy.
Call back. Sorry, I missed the call. Yeah, we have to move to the next level of politics.
Yeah, we have to move to the next level. We ain't going nowhere.
And public discourse.
We ain't going nowhere fast.
Is that the level?
We looking petty, we looking small, we looking like people that don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand where we're going with that. Good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes.
Well, it's so simple to say. Whichever regime, right?
Yes.
Look at the simple thing to say. Well, we own a profit by NGC by how much billion?
Correct.
But thanks to the work that was done by the former administration.
Yes.
What's so hard to say?
I don't know.
And when you see, hear me, when you put it over as it was only done by you, well, that's what the problem is.
Yeah.
Okay, the airport at Oakland, Tobago is under a different regime.
Yeah.
Just mention when it was started, and we completed.
Yes.
The people in Trinidad are not dumb.
Yes.
The hospital in Port of Spain have to be commissioned.
Yes.
Just mention it.
Yes.
But when you're trying, you see, maybe some of the politicians don't know how politically charged the whole thing is. And this is on both sides.
Correct.
Just, you can mention, well, the NR Robertson Airport that we opened today, whenever it's opening, you know, we're glad that it opened and we accomplished so and so. And it was started by the former regime. What in that?
Yeah.
Even though you do say that the population knows that.
Yes.
Well, they opened this about a year before.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
The fire trucks that they got. All the procurement and all was not doing 10 months.
Yes.
We know this.
Yes.
But what happened here, sorry for reason, they take we for fools. I'm glad they get the fire appliances and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But we know it couldn't be done in the short space of time. Other things was in the making before.
Yeah.
We know they negotiate for NGC and whatever. That's the point I'm making. Matterson. Mr. Matterson.
Yeah, I listen there.
I finished with you, I'll come back to you. I'll leave you at that point on Friday. But listen, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
I'm gone. But you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, man. When you say that, do you know when you say that as the present regime in power, people have more respect for you?
I would think
in
so.
the sense of they realize, well, in truth and in fact, that is actually what happened. People will love that.
I would think that is the way to go.
Correct.
Give credit to, because how could you argue therefore?
Okay.
All the things,
a chance.
No, stay, caller, stay. How could you argue therefore that all the good things that happening now is you, but all the bad things is the PMM?
Boy, listen, hear me, eh? I want things to happen. Right? This is our country.
Yes.
We live here. We family here. We property here. We business here. We want here to be a certain way.
Correct.
You understand? How long we going with this red and yellow? We get some fire truck. I happy.
Yeah.
We get a new airport, a new terminal. I happy.
Yeah.
But you as the present regime, and then the former regime too, stop saying too, we build this and we start this. We know that.
We know that.
Left them in the notices if they don't want to come and say, we know that.
Yeah.
The hospital block, we know who started.
Yeah.
We know it's going to happen when it opens.
Yes.
And another thing too, when they get invited, when they bring it into the commission, show your face, come there too.
Yes.
If you understand, when politicians start to do those little things, the man on the ground now will start to think a little different.
I agree. Well said, caller.
Later.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean,
can we not do
the caller echo?
Yes.
What I've been saying all the time. I mean,
we can't do better than that.
We need to start a thing national.
We have a whole, and it upsetting me when I'm thinking about it. We have a whole university. There's teach that in UWE.
No, let's teach individualism. They teach teamwork.
They never play sports. They play table tennis alone. They never play team sports.
They play squash alone.
Squash. Come on. Who cares about credit for the profit? Once it ain't going somebody's pocket, that's what we worried about. You notice none of them are really telling me what we want to hear. Where is the $3.3 billion going? That's what we want to know. Mm-hmm. We want to be able to account for it. We want to say, well, and I guess maybe in time we would hear what you're going to do with it, or I don't know. Where would it go? But those are the salient questions, not who start and who stop. There's no campaign going on. So this competition between somebody please come out with the orange color for the next election, because we need a hybrid of this thing. Because I don't see how silly that boast is, and worse yet, the reply. Mm-hmm. Now, we always promise to focus on the bowling side.
The baton side.
No, we always do the baton side.
Yeah.
The bowling side, we say we have to give some, because we want to see a good game.
The bowling side behaves to me like The drunken way.
Well, first to begin, we don't even know who is the captain on the bowling side. That is the beginning of the problem.
So everybody trying to captain the team.
Everybody trying to captain the team. But we need a good bowling side to have a good game. We need that. That's what we pay for. We didn't pay for one man to bat whole day because you bowling lollipop. We want to see good bowling. And
the fact is, what's for crying out loud? Be remain quiet when you need to remain quiet.
Yeah.
Say what you have to say when you need to say, but
Yeah.
make it resonate. Make it make sense. Because you was in office for 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
10 years, 9 years and something you was in office for.
watch and note the unforced errors. Because
Yeah.
there will be.
Exactly.
There will be unforced
you was
errors.
there for 10 years. So you had a chance to do certain things. Some of the things you're talking and that kind of thing.
And some of the things we
And
know
good-
is you. We know you put certain things. We know. But, oh gosh, let bossy boss, if you understand. We just get it, my jersey, your jersey, as you do this, as I do that, as you do that. I don't know. And the things that we are boasting about, paving road, getting fire truck.
Road paper, that was the Young Avenue paper?
No. But every time a road pave, somebody does cut a ribbon and say, I paved the road. And it's come up as a headline.
That's the road need to be paved.
Providing the basic necessities for your citizens, which is part of your contract with the society, according to the philosophers, the Greeks. Got the social contract. You're boasting about it. You pave a road, and you open this, and you open that. Oh my gosh. This is 2026. This is 2026. And I really thought we could do better than that. I have no problems in giving credit to the former regime where they went right, where they put things in place. There are things that they did wrong, and we stone them all the time for that. But if they put certain things in place, there is nothing wrong in acknowledging that. Good? Even though you finish it, they started it. Good? And there's nothing wrong about that. But why? What about, and my deeper question is, what about the audience? What about the people in the Colosseum that you feel will gravitate to that kind of argument? What about them? How do you view them then? How do you view the public? Get them that boy, raise something with race. Raise some kind of Negro Indian thing.
As I say that, I saw this social media activist, this social media influencer.
Yes.
He usually supports the bowling side. Sometimes, I mean, the kind of thing these guys raise in society, it frightens me. Because we seem to be taking one step forward and a few backwards.
Wow. Always applauding.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Why are we doing that? Does it matter to you, members of the public, members of the pavilion, who is responsible for any particular development or accomplishment in Toronto? Does it really matter to you? You tell me. Does it matter in the scheme of things? Who paved the road? Who do this? Who do that? Is that how we analyze government and government performance? Is that how we analyze government performance?
Which is why, around election time, politicians know all too well. I mean, the population, the voting population is fickle. And if you're looking at those kind of surface things to measure government's performance, then we will give it that.
So that is why all the truckers up here.
We will give you all them thing around election. We are suffering all through the 5 years.
Yeah. And pave some road.
Because we don't know you're fickle. We don't know you watching surface things. You ain't watching real development for the majority of the period. You watching what you could get. How much URP work could get, how much this you could get, how much that you could get, how much house could give out in the last year.
We
should be going past that, but I mean, people
People still voting for paved road, boy? And Jersey?
That's something you should be making noise for every day.
We still voting for Jersey. And we put all of this in the context of...
If you guys feel sick when I drive on the road and my car go down in a pothole or something, I mean, it makes me feel really bad knowing that we had the kind of resources in Trinidad and Tobago we once had. And the fact that we just aren't utilizing certain things in the way we should be utilizing it.
And a story covered by Andrea Perez Sobers in The Guardian suggests that the prospect of Guyanese crude being refined in Trinidad and Tobago has emerged as the cornerstone of a high-stakes energy blueprint unveiled by Guyana's President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali. Proposing a potential reactivation of an idle refining capacity, Ali confirmed that his intention to engage the Trinidad and Tobago government directly on a collaboration that would see Guyana's raw resources fuel Trinidad's infrastructure. This strategic shift aims to transform legacy industrial assets into regional monetization engine, signaling a move away from independent operators towards deeply integrated downstream partnership. Speaking to the Sunday Business Guardian, as well as a room of top business stakeholders and bankers at the annual business meeting Outlook hosted by the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Commerce at the Hyatt, Ali framed this integration as a non-negotiable response to a shifting global market. He argued that the era of hesitation must end as the economic cost of delay grows increasingly steep, calling for disciplined private sector-led integration of cross-border gas and refinery assets. Central to the blueprint is a potential reactivation of TNT's idle refining capacity to process Guyanese crude. Ali confirmed that he's prepared to engage the Trinidad and Tobago government directly to discuss a strategy that would see Guyanese light sweet crude flow into Trinidadian refineries, effectively turning a legacy industrial burden into a regional asset. I will be meeting with the government, he said, when asked directly about refinery collaboration. And there you have it. You see collaboration.
So you know where we get me oil from.
You see the collaboration we're talking about.
We have it from Venezuela, we have it from Ghana. Everybody kiss and make
and
up
if
everything
this president were insular about all the jokes and remarks that we used to talk about chicken curry and curry chicken, and all the other things that you see, he sound like he vexed with anybody. He is saying that little refinery we only have there with little dust, we will give it life. And if that is not the beacon of integration and cooperation, I don't know what is. I don't know what, and this is the type of cooperation we would want on a regional level. So the time for peacock and playing hard and fast and calling people name and you to take back your marbles and go home, you ain't getting them no more marbles. That type of rhetoric has lost its place. Good afternoon, caller.
When Ofan was making that statement, anybody from the government was there?
Well, I would hope so. This was the Chamber of Commerce forum. He said he will speak to the government directly, so it suggests...
I know what is. I am asking if anybody from the government was there.
Well...
Ask them. You know, man around.
More than likely, there would have been.
Yeah.
As far as I understand, nobody from the government was there.
No, man, I don't believe that.
All right, I threw it out to go find out. Right?
All right. I was in the last two forum, the one hosted by the Manufacturers Association a couple of weeks ago, and there were a lot of government ministers there. And the one before that, there were a lot of government ministers. So
the vice president one, what Ofan spoke, I can't remember seeing no government officials there, because were you saying somebody said there, Mr. Roloff, right?
Yes.
I would have expected that to come from government.
Yeah.
You understand? So what you see in the newspaper, and I am disputing that.
Yeah.
But I'm still asking the question, who was in that meeting there with Ofan and them representing we?
Yeah.
You check and see.
Yeah. Well,
Okay?
this conversation seemed to be a conversation with him and Mr. Harford, which is the Chamber of Commerce, as the chairman of Republic Bank.
Okay.
So, businessmen, because this is
He was just throwing out that, right?
Yeah, he was just throwing out that.
Okay. But you also know they're talking about building their own refinery.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, and I wouldn't vex with them for doing that either. It makes sense, especially if you have a partner who does bust style and ever so often. You ain't going in that dependency relationship.
And another thing he spoke about the little impasse with CARICOM and with leader and thing. He even spoke about that.
Yes.
He said that was done properly.
Yes, he said so. Yes.
So that the fact remains that how to put it, boy, our leader and foreign affairs minister have no foot to stand on.
Well, you know, we see that was a storm and
Matterson, don't try to defend that.
Talk to me. No, I'm not in any way.
Right?
I'm not.
Because I listened to Ofan. And Ofan is saying, well, everything was done above board. We do not know pickups on that. And that make what is being said on our side even more foolish.
Yeah.
Because the man was directing and we saying.
Yeah.
You understand? But I mean, if he's saying that towards our refinery, I happy.
Yes.
You understand? Because I'll be saying, I don't care who started. Patriotic.
Yeah.
Somebody from anyway.
Yeah, finish it, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dead ruling.
Yeah.
Because listen, the fact remains we need it.
Yes, we do.
You understand? And it's going to be a big help.
Yes.
You understand? And that's all I had to say for now.
Thank you.
For Matterson, I finish with you.
Let me hear you, man. Talk now.
Nah, not. I'm going to spoil. I want to spoil it.
After
but I'm
6,
going
call
to
him.
my last word Friday.
Yeah, call him after 6. We go in that direction and feel after 6. All right? Right. Yeah, so the Guyanese president has thrown out the gauntlet in offering. He's saying, well, listen to me, we got to get this refinery back up. You know? Them little old iron all they have down there. Dust it off and he will find. Now, Guyana has the capacity in terms of the oil and the amount of oil they produce. So, they can open up their own refinery, it still have more oil to refine. And that is what he is saying. If he's saying that, then he know what he's saying. Good?
Correct.
And what we need to do is line up our bucket to see. And I wish Selvon was here to tell us more about that kind of a oil refinery talks. But the last thing we saw in the newspaper was a feasibility study or some study to be done.
Some study to look at the reopening of the possibilities.
Yeah, a reopening.
And
But
company with an Italian link.
Yeah. And we therefore have to look at the management issues. And that will come later down. I guess the feasibility will deal with the economics part of it. So it is not that. And I mean, to be fair, the Lashley reports and the reports that I have seen did not recommend closure. We went that way, water on the bridge. I ain't going back on who was right and who was wrong about that. Things happen, governments make decisions. Let's go forward. And in going forward, we must do the feasibility properly, discuss the pros and cons. I know several people, Patriot, plenty people have advocated for it. And because I know it will take a while, even when we decide to go forward, in it will take a while. We have to look at job creation. We have to look at modernizing. And that is the word I want to hear when they're talking about reopening the refinery. Modernizing.
The refinery, that refinery, by the way, was a pretty modern refinery. Eh?
Okay.
Now that was a good size.
I hear they did an upgrade.
And
Let me take this call.
Also,
Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rolex again.
Yes, good afternoon.
I think very early in the game, I think Trinidad had sent a delegation led by the Minister of Energy, to Guyana to discuss the possibility of using the refinery here to refine Guyana's oil. And I think they also went to Suriname. And I think late last year, early this year, there was a conference, an international conference in Guyana, where the Minister of Energy attended. And so I'm saying that, and yes, initially, when they went, I think Barrett, I think he's the president of Guyana, I think he was a bit reluctant to say either one way or the other. And but I'm saying that it seemed to be much more, it seems more on the line in terms of this thing coming to fruition. So that is where it is. And as you spoke about the refinery there in Pointe-à-Pierre, they need, I think the experts tell them that they need to move with this thing with some urgency because of the length of time that this thing been down. I don't know where it's at, and I heard about this, the union. I can't remember the name of the union, the company that they were going to establish, or that the established company.
Front.
But they need,
Patriotic Front.
Yeah, but they need. I just think I don't know, and communication is a thing that this government could be lacking in a way, and we need to beef up that, because people need to know what is taking place with respect to that refinery. You can't delay with that refinery, because it's old stuff, old iron, all that kind of thing, because as they're saying, you have to deal with this thing with alacrity, and I don't know where they're going with that. So I'm saying it's a good thing that Guyana has stated its intention to support Trinidad and Tobago with respect to the opening of the refinery, and there may be other options, maybe in Suriname and whatnot, it may be elsewhere. But in terms of Venezuela, I am not putting my, I said it earlier on, it all depends on, now what is going to happen here is that some people say that LC is being locked down and all that kind of thing, but you have to look beyond 2028. What is going to happen? Who is going to take charge in terms of America and whatnot? And things could turn around. So you have to think in terms of you exploring our resource in terms of deep water gas and with respect to oil and whatnot. But I wouldn't put too much faith or too much confidence with respect to Guyana and this cross-border business, except for the gas that has been unitized, right, where we have allotted our part and they have their part, and we need to get that. And I think that we're in a good position to claim our stake. So they need to move a little more rapid with respect to dealing with this gas business as it goes. So I'm happy to see what is taking place, and I hope for the realization of the refining of oil at Pointe-à-Pierre, and also the question of gas and gas production and whatnot. So thank you again.
Okay, thank you, caller.
The initiative to open the refinery, I think this is my humble opinion, that should have been happening about 3-4 years ago. Probably the cost to do so might have been less, because every year or so, every few months or so, that the refinery remains closed, it attracts more cost to be able to open it. And to do so will cost a huge amount of capital investment. Somebody with deep pockets to be able to do that. And even when that happened, you had to have the oil to feed it. So if Ghana is saying that it has it, and Venezuela also, that is a good thing. But this is not a today for tomorrow thing. this is something you wouldn't probably start seeing profit for the next 3-4 years. That's just the nature of this. That's just the nature of this. So this is not something that you could just fix a car and just drive it. It don't work like that.
Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and to everyone.
Yes, good afternoon.
If one man closed the refinery with a lie that it was losing too much money and whatever, right? Why we can't seize all his assets and whatever it is and put that towards all the salaries that he's supposed to be getting and put that towards the refinery? Why the country has to suffer because of one man? Right? Set back the country. I mean, she was the worst prime minister that this country ever had. Right? And you lie about the refinery. Why do we allow these things to happen? Are these people happy and jolly? Right? Look at the NIS situation. Look how much workers, right, were sent home because of one man. And we just taken, come just like Trump. They're asking, where are the other world leaders? They consider this man insane. And nobody's saying anything. It's a similar situation. In fact, they have a lot of things in common. The worst president the world ever experienced and the worst prime minister Trinidad ever had. Because he shut down all the research. You have people with highly qualified people with 2 masters and things looking for work in coffee shop because the research, all the research shut down. Renewable energy, where they reached so far with, he shut that down too. Right? Good? And this comes just like this one, how we shut down Petrochin. Look at the situation we left the Malcolm Jones family with. They have paid court. They say we had a very good chance of recovering quite a large sum of that money. One man said he contributed a lot to Trinidad to write off that. One man, right? And a whole country, a whole nation suffer for that and suffering for that. And look at the cost to start back that refinery because of one man. You understand? This can happen in certain countries, I know. Anyway, my brothers, keep up the good work.
So, caller, what do you think about the reopening? What do you think about the reopening of the refinery?
We're getting like a female from.
Caller, what do you think about the reopening?
How you getting your mouth involved in Cuba and Venezuela business? Well, Venezuela to a certain extent, right? But Cuba definitely not. Cuba suffered so good, so long, and did so well, right? With nothing that they were getting. Look at the type of doctors have in Cuba. Cuba don't do no amputees and things. Look at Trinidad. Every day is a toe, a leg, everything going. Why we can't tap into these types of things, right? Anyway, my brothers, you'll keep up the good work.
Okay.
And we should never have to suffer for that.
Thank you, caller.
Yeah.
So, we have another call. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Now, understand that the patriotic, just to check the refinery to make sure everything is working and so on, everything is ready to go. It will cost them 50 million US. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to check it out, just for some people to come and make sure this is okay, the pipe is whatever. 50 million US. So the question I'm asking you, gentlemen, this evening, will there be a collaboration with Mr. Roger company and the government, because if it's just 50 million US alone, just to check out the equipment and see what is good, what not good, and so on. To open the refinery will cost even way more than that. So I'm asking the question this evening is, do you think that there will be a collaboration with the Patriots and the government? Thank you very much.
Yeah. I don't know that the state is involved financially in this. I think the state is managing the process. Let me take this other call. Good afternoon, caller.
Mr. Matterson, you see what I said on Friday evening? Trinidad has some dangerous people.
Trinidad has some?
Dangerous people. You remember Trinidad Friday? Did you hear what I called her before the last one said? You listen to what he said?
What? Refresh my memory.
But what mad? I don't want to sound as a bashing or anything. But I'm surprised. But again, you see this forum, you understand, brother? People just get there, call in and express themselves. And they just get time to say anything on other forums. They watch them. Yes. He is saying that one man closes the door and let them use, technically, let them use his asset to try and open it back. That is not what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, I heard it.
But listen, no.
But how do you find it was closed down? What was the premise?
Hello. Matterson, we discussed that already. Both sides.
But help
me and you discussed that already.
Help yourself.
And I am saying to you,
help the public.
The Christian was never closed down. We discussed that right here, me and you.
Right.
Don't try that.
So they're still refining down there then?
No, they ain't refining.
So but they say that was never closed.
The refining operation was closed down. Exploration and production continue. Matterson, we do go through that now, man.
Yeah,
we discussed that already. Just like the 10%. You forget who's talking to you.
So are we talking about? We really talking about the refining?
No, but what I'm saying is this. People kind of alarm when they hear 50 million to do this time. And before I go on, I hear you say just know that the refinery is more than the word said that effect. No.
Is what?
You said that just now.
Is what did I say?
It's more or less pretty more than. Is not that?
Modern. He said you said it was
more than.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, that refinery was a modern refinery.
Okay, all right, here up now. I do agree, but we ain't gonna happen that.
Okay.
I am saying to you, there's a lot to that refinery before it gets started.
Well, we all agree with that. I
mean, do you know?
All are trying to agree with that.
Do you know that there's an element of natural gas where the heaters in the refinery is concerned? You know that? Do you know that? You didn't know that, eh? Natural gas does not keep the heaters going in that refinery. Let them call there and tell you. There's a lot of work. And people shouldn't be alarmed when patriotic talk about 50 million. They're just a scratch in the barrel. What happened here is that we was given the notion that the refinery going to start now for now. No. And you just confirm it there. It's going to take about 2 or 3 years. But in the initial stage, that is what that wasn't what the population was being told. You understand? So you sort of understand the timeline. And listen, to get that back is nice money. You hear what I'm telling you? Very nice money. This is not no quick fix. You understand? But as we said before, it's in our benefit. It will create employment. We'll get foreign exchange. You understand? So let's hope that the authorities, stay on the ball with respect to open offer. That is brilliant, because that was one of the having questions where we're going to get crude. Am I correct?
Correct.
You understand? So that was, you see that refinery? We can't ignore this.
Well, there's a dynamic that we promised to talk about in the last hour, and that is what we may have to look forward to.
Okay.
For certain things to happen, for the windfall to start taking.
Yeah, so but I ain't gonna be here in the last hour. I have to win my gas. But what I'm saying,
I don't think both will coincide, because even opening the refinery, what happened in the Middle East will have to remain so for the next 4 years for us to benefit in any significant way.
Well, you're like you're doing a little homework. You
no, I know that. I mean, it's just common sense.
Or maybe it has certain things they want to say because of your program. But you knew that there's an element of natural gas where the refining operations is concerned. You know that?
I do know that.
They're going to call you and tell you. All right?
All right, okay.
Here's the element of natural gas. You need natural gas. I just dropping that off in a big jump. And if I wrong somebody, you call me and tell me. Only have a nice evening.
Take care.
Take care.
But I thought that was one of the byproducts. That's one of the things that we find come from. Huh?
No, they need natural gas as part of the operations of the refinery, which is, I've heard that before. I've read it before. I'm not the technical person in that field.
I don't know so much about
and we will get somebody on the show.
But one should be here.
Yeah, we will get somebody on the show to get down into the technicalities. You swim where you can swim. And that is not waters in which I can swim at all. So I'm not pretending to do that. So we're going for a break shortly, and we're coming back for a final hour. And there's much changing in the horizon. Islamabad was bad, as far as the results say. And I will discuss with my senior here the Hungarian election.
Hey, boy.
And things have changed.
Boy, Fico out, boy. Fico get caught out, boy.
Things have changed after 16 years.
Yeah, boy. How that happened, boy?
Well, they have described Mr.
That young fellow in that, I wonder what side he blowing on.
I will tell you. They have described Viktor Orban as a democratic backslider, that he backslid from democratic principles.
So now what that mean for the Russia deal? Well, anyway,
there's a lot in that meaning.
We will talk about it.
The EU.
Excited.
What? The dancing.
The EU. Ursula von der Leyen must be happy.
She is happy. Good.
Ukraine going and get what they want.
Yeah. Whether that will just, well, remember, you still have.
Although Ukraine, I think.
Remember, Russia could up the ante,
Yeah, Ukraine far gone. Ukraine, I don't see Ukraine as
I do know that will be money well spent.
Yeah.
But the 20 billion that Hungary don't get, they will now get. Because they had been cut off from a lot of funding and financing because of the anti-NATO.
Because they don't want to support
pro-Soviet.
The
funding. Yeah?
The funding for NATO.
So there's a lot to talk about after the hour and the movement to block the blockade. Block the blockade. A game of chess we're playing here. Stay tuned for more on the Third Empire. Next.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
What are you doing? Big D, big fun, KFC, so we big on the ground. The big nation, cause they don't know we were the crown. Say what you want, KFC, so we lead in front. We We are big nation, TNT and KFC, one motion.
Come to KFC, let we hold our vibe, and let we join together because KFC is life. It's a big deal.
Say what you want, KFC, so we lead in front.
Big deal.
We are big nation, TNT and KFC, one motion.
Big deal.
Better living starts at Furniture Plus. Get up to 50% off on furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more. Plus free gifts with select purchases and just $1 down on credit plans. Don't wait. Visit Furniture Plus today.
There's some advice when you hear it. You know one time is good advice. My granny tell me a hot cup of good and natural ginger tea first thing in the morning does wonders for the body. Good and natural ginger tea in its single-size packets is excellent for flavoring your cooking, salads and desserts. But what was news for me is when my granny say a hot cup of good and natural ginger tea helps with nasal congestion and colds, stomach problems, migraine headaches, and it's really good for arthritis in the body. Made from freshly crushed ginger root to get that strong ginger taste and aroma so soothing. Good and natural ginger tea available with or without sugar, so all you need is boiling water to get a cup going. As the old people say, don't take flambeau to see the night what you could see clear in the day. Good and natural ginger tea. Good advice to start your day right.
Mondays looking real good. Munchie Mondays at KFC. Get one piece of that signature chicken plus a regular side for just $19.95. Small price, big satisfaction. Start the week right. It must be KFC. Order now via the KFC TT app only. Follow KFC Trinidad and Tobago WhatsApp channel for all the deals.
Is a whole lot of flavor wrapped up in a twist. Some of them try to rap, but they don't rap like this. With crispy KFC tenders and lettuce and carrots and shredded tortilla embedded, perfect wherever you headed. Dripping with that creamy mayo and that mambo sauce. Let me tell them one more time to get my point across. It's a craveable, crunchable, movable, functional, flavorful meal that your taste buds must endorse.
KFC, crunch twist, crunch twist. None of them, they don't make it like this.
Introducing KFC's Crunch Twist, a flavorful wrap with a delicious difference for just $29.95. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Block the blockade. So somehow the Islamabad talks did not go too well after 21 hours. We have a caller. Let me take this caller. Good afternoon, caller.
Yes, good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon.
Are you hearing me, right?
Yes.
Right. The refinery, I want to speak about the refinery a bit.
Go ahead.
The reason why you need a natural gas supply is natural gas creates it is used for the boilers to create steam. It's like gas. You light it, you have boilers huge, like three and 4 story building. This now produces steam. And this steam is used to power mechanical pumps, compressors, fans, and even generate electricity. The refinery could generate their own electricity to run. So it's an efficiency thing when they need natural gas. So you're going to make a profit. So and then, as we understand, crude oil, according to the temperature, you get kerosene, jet fuel, diesel, and gasoline. So when you think about a refinery, you always remember heating. So that's the critical thing. So you cannot buy a Range Rover and have no money to put gas in it to drive. You can't pack it up in your garage. It will depreciate. So that you have to find that gas supply. You have to find that gas supply.
Caller, in your experience, do we have it?
I might sound a little ticklish here, but I believe we have oil and gas that the Venezuela and the Guyanese people boasting about. We have it here. But for some political reason, they're not investing in it, they're not drilling for it.
You see it running
Because
out,
yes,
you see it oozing out of the ground in certain parts.
Of course. I remember. I remember Rowley in one of his town hall meeting in San Fernando. Big scenario. And one of his geologist friend, a big time geologist, come up to speak. You know when they had the one-on-one? And he said, Dr. Rowley, and I have this clip. He said, Dr. Rowley, we have crude oil seeping out of San Fernando. Why we not drilling for we oil? Why we not? And he catch Rowley off guard in that moment. He said, you mean that terrestrial where we was thinking back in 1940? And he said, yes, we haven't touched those supply of oil. And there are many wells already drilled that kept. Why are we not visiting? That's the craziest thing, you know. We have it set up, and it's like somebody trying to shift the money or give somebody else the power and leverage that they're not going into these things are cemented already, ready for tapping. It's weird. And when they say they close the refinery because of the AV oil scandal, the first day they put a scale in the refinery, just like in Caroni, once you put a scale, it have bubble. So that's going on for umpteen years. But I think they're using it for recent, just to talk, to make an excuse. But stealing of oil and selling the wrong weight and thing created billionaires in this country. So this is not a no thing. This was going on in UNC days too. Let me be real. Once you put a scale and you put a man to measure that weight and that liquidity, you're going to harass it. Somebody going and pass $1 on another. All right, weigh this, weigh that. And that go on for years. That's why this man could have come and sue and come and give back 10 billion and give a contract, because all that was planned. They had no proof. These fellas had just planned the escape before the crime. You know. And everything in Trinidad and Tobago. You know. What you see is when it's too late. When you hear anything happen, it's done late already, but these fellas planned the escape before the robbery. That's what we have here. It's funny. You understand? Why you think nutrient on idle? There are no gas. So once you solidify a gas, forget oil seeping all about.
Well, nutrient wasn't closing up shop, or they just shut down for a while because with what's happening in the Middle East, nutrient becomes very, very, very important as the supplier
fertilizer
well, that is if they could get
fertilizer
natural gas from Trinidad.
Right. So right now they're running on just the operators just coming and have it. They're running on idle. They're not producing fast. I understand. You understand? So that until these things come out back on Methanex and then come out back into production capacity, we have a gas problem.
Kola,
now I understand. Mm-hmm.
What do you know, if any? You know, I know you're just speaking from your experience and exposure about the modernization of the refinery. How would you rate it? Is it modern, pretty modern, or there are modern aspects, or we still have some modernization to go?
In everything, technology there's always advance.
Right.
But I believe our plant was built for the heavy crude we have.
Right.
So it was built for purpose, so to speak.
Right.
It not built for sweet. Guyana has sweet crude, as far as I understand. You don't need much refining in that.
That's what I understand as well.
In heavy crude needs an extra cook-up in layman terms.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So so refineries just had a built purpose built.
I like Venezuela and Trinidad oil to some extent.
Right. Now, I like what you say there about Venezuela. But to extract Venezuela, you see the layman won't understand that they think when you say extract oil, they remember the long time black and white movies that a man shoot the Beverly Hillbillies. He shoot a hole, he bullet in the ground, and oil start to spew up in the air. In Venezuela, you have to inject steam to get that heavy crude out the ground. So it's not just sending a pipe and sucking. You understand? When you now drill a well, the natural pressures and gases will send up the first set of oil. But after that, you have to start sucking it. That's why you see, you call them pumping jack all over. is to keep that suction going on. The natural earth pressure don't push up the oil, right? And in Venezuela, you have to put up a steam plant itself to apply pressure and break down that so it could flow. Like how TCL is make a slurry in the forest and send it to Claxon Bay. You have to liquefy it, right? So it's a heavy crude, but Guyanese crude sweet. That don't need much. That don't need much. Yeah, that don't need much refining as a heavy one in Venezuela. So, and I understand they say this thing with Irfan, they misquote him, just to make a headline. But Irfan never really say he entertained Trinidad in that aspect. You have to understand, Texas going and build a massive refinery, right? So that oil is taken from Guyana, going Texas. Them fellas, them white boys setting up themselves, you know.
And soon with Venezuela,
Why?
the same thing they're doing with with Venezuela oil.
Right. So them fellas going and build a big refinery in Texas. They would need that South American oil. Right now, I understand Paria selling Guyana fuel. That I understand. How true is that? You guys might know. You know what I mean? So that's the relationship we have with Guyana right now. We selling them fuel. And all the upgrades you might see going on is on the buying and selling side of the refinery. So I don't know if UNC might use that and make people feel they starting refinery and they just upgrading the fuel intake and out. You understand? That piping. But the refinery on the other side of the road. Nothing going on there. At least as you could tell from the road, you see no cranes, you see nothing. You know what I mean? So this is a political football right now.
So what do you think about what happened over the weekend in Islamabad and the implications for a wider conflict?
Well, that was America's whole plan, you know, whether they agree or not.
What?
For
the talks to fail?
Say that again?
For the talks to fail? That was America's plan?
Yeah, that was just that's for the theater. America want to wipe. Well, it's true. Israel, they want to wipe out Iran. That's their goal. At the end of the day, and Trump go serve a third term. Trump going and serve a third term. He going and flout the laws. That's just it.
I mean, he's going to be a dictator.
That had to happen.
Going to civil war in America.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, all that. He might be fighting at home too. The boys going to be busy back in home. You understand? Because I have a lot of Indians in Canada and America now. There's the next minority, you know. Not the blacks again, you know. Or the African Americans, so to speak, you know. No, it's Indians, you know. Muslims. That is the next minority group that are battling it, and they already weave themselves into the political system already. You understand? So America might have a fight by the door in their own house. Why else they want to fight outside here? That's just my view on it.
Okay. No problem. Thanks, caller.
Before I go, remember I tell already the woman when I get off the Ghani murder?
Yeah. Well, we see she was freed.
You see that?
Yeah.
But what, you know, let me leave this with all you. You notice they had a video surface where the Ghani guy stepped out his door and killed a fella on the road. The fella looked like a homeless or probably a drug addict, but he on the public road in the area. Did you see that video? And the Ghani come out like a real movie and just start shooting a man till he dead on the ground. Did Ghani ever have to answer for that murder? That's what catch me. That's a good question.
There's a video to that effect?
That is a video with him. You see the video, you hear the camera outside the house. The man step out. You see the homeless man walking. The homeless man turn his back, watch him. And as he turn around and watch him, my boy pull out the gun and empty the clip on him and murder him dead in the road. And this look like an old footage. So I'm saying, did he ever answer for that murder? And then you have a man called Alexander say he's my best friend. You see how this thing tie up and knot up? Have a good evening, fellas. Somebody might clear the air.
Well, I haven't seen such footage. But we're getting back to your playing field. Block the blockade.
Block the blockade.
Nothing moves.
I think.
You block me, I block you.
I think.
Everybody block.
You know, according to the last caller, America is an irrational actor, right? And unless they have a game plan down the road, we heading for some serious problem, because you want to block the blockade, right? Nothing comes out, right? What happened to China and Russia?
That's what we have to see.
Huh? I would like to see what happens. What happens
I
now.
don't know that in the immediacy, in the short term, I don't know that China and Russia cares in the short term. Because in the short term, more than anybody in the world, they can survive.
Yeah, but China and Russia have a lot of... Well,
But in the long term...
China has a lot of...
reserves. They have a year and a half, they say.
They have a lot of reserves.
And Russia produces oil.
And then they have a corridor also that between Russia and China.
Yes.
So
I think in the short term, my view is in the short term, this is a non-issue. However, they don't play short-term football.
No, but then again, you're talking international trade.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's not only oil.
You're talking international, which is going which will have a serious effect on inflation, which is why I'm talking about the blowback that will take place in parts of China.
Call back. I missed your call. Sorry.
Over the next few months.
Yes.
Because to me it will get worse in terms of inflation and that kind of thing. If you stifle movement of cargo and things from that side of the world, that's problems. That's serious problems. But I don't know what is America's end game, because they seem to want to have the cake and eat it, boy. They seem to want to control everything, and that to me doesn't make sense. Right? When clearly...
Well, they're definitely stretching themselves very thin.
Yeah, when clearly Iran clearly have the upper hand here. Right? You can't go inside it. They don't want you inside it. They'll sink you. They know where all the mines is, and the mines is they have about 11 submarines down on the ground inside it. Right? You can't hear them, and they're not new submarines, but you can't hear them because of all the other activities that happen inside there. Your sonar can't pick them up. I mean, they could do immense damage to anything passing through there.
Maybe that's the plan.
I don't think they want to do that. I think they're just looking at for leverage in this whole situation. And that to me is one of their biggest leverage. But you see what happened
the American president claims that other nations will be involved in this part. He's not the sole actor.
In blocking.
Again, that is left to be seen. We know there's a difference between things said and things seen or things done. But if you thought things were bad for the American president, or things are changing, Hungary has had an electoral shift. The U.S. ally is gone after 16 years. And if you read, because I did some reading concerning Peter, the new...
He's a conservative.
Not only that, he was a loyalist to Viktor Orban.
Okay.
He came out of that party. But they have had a strange political relationship. So what my reading tells me that the straw that broke the camel's back was that he found that Victor Orban was becoming more and more hardline and pro-Russian. Now Peter was sent on a mission.
But he didn't have a choice.
Well, Peter was sent on mission as part of Orban's party to the EU.
You understand the importance of Russia to Hungary?
Yeah, but listen, listen, let me finish explaining this. He was sent to EU, to the European Union, to work. So obviously, you know what happened when you're lying with the dogs. He became pro-EU. Returned on assignment from Hungary, right? His wife was the so-called Attorney General equivalent, right? Charged with legal matters because he's a lawyer. He's actually from a family of lawyers as well. And the story has it and I'm condensing it obviously. The story has it is that there was a scandal that broke out under Orban's governance about child abuse sex scandals in the party. And Peter's wife was instrumental in making the charges disappear within the party. The story also revealed that in a conversation she had with people involved in the scheme, he taped her at her home. They were married. There's his wife. And he released the tape. Left the party. They became divorced. So he was under the school of Orban. He says that, so he knows him intimately. He was part of the party. He was a part of their legal team for years.
But he break up. He ain't going to be a loyalist.
Nah, he break up. Because I was also wondering, I was listening to his speech today, and I was wondering, where does his sense of conviction come from? Meaning, you know, when lovers break up, or it is be, when somebody leave the party, we see enough examples about that here. Yeah, when you leave the party, all of a sudden the party ain't good no more. But he was part of the party all along. So he broke up, he joined the conservative, and joined the conservative group, which is more pro-NATO, pro-EU, anti-Russian. It is a landslide victory. It is a record turnout in Hungarian elections. Ever.
I saw that.
And when I look at the reports on Al Jazeera and BBC and other things, the sentiment, no, you can't take that for any scientific. But the sentiment on the ground is that, thank God we get to remain in the EU. We wanted to be European. We want to be European. We do not want to be Russian. And we felt that rope, you know, when you talk about, when the rope pulling, and it pulling on one side.
No, but I was saying the importance of Russia to Hungary is significant, you know.
Like, go ahead.
Because remember, Hungary depends largely on Russian gas. And what Ukraine had done to destroy that gas link, that was a thorn in Orban, which is why Orban didn't want to. He kind of like veto the vote.
The vote for them to even join. He didn't even want them to join,
right.
And he did that. Yeah.
And
the aid.
So I don't know how. I mean, sometimes you do things, but I mean, think about how. Okay, so you want to go against Russia, right? How that gonna work for you? Well, you're gonna pay plenty more for gas.
Well,
plenty more than what most other European countries pay. You have to buy gas from America.
Well, they have to figure it out. That is for sure. And for sure that there are more issues at hand, and they would have had to. The population, let's hope, would have had to think about it because they would have had a lot of time. They had 16 years to think about it. And 16 years is a long time. As a matter of fact,
because to me, Fico, Victor Orban was playing a kind of neutralizing game. He was very good with NATO to some extent before, and then he started falling out with Van der Leyen. He and Van der Leyen had a lot of clashes, but to me, he was very. I think he was one of the rational actors, saying that listen, this war thing ain't making no sense, because you will get us all killed by what you want to do. He was one of them who was saying that. He was saying like, listen, if you continue doing what you're doing by trying to fund this war, that madman called Zelensky will do something stupid and you'll get all of you in trouble. That was kind of like Fico's thesis. And clearly, with this defeat now and with what you're saying there, because I wasn't really following it up for some time, but with what you're saying there, that could mean that, the Hungarian people will now have to probably ban the belly and spend more money on certain things, on gas and things. Huh?
Yeah, and they definitely. So the geopolitics on the chessboard shifting a little bit. America has lost an ally.
Mm-hmm.
The Hungarians, from what I can't make a scientific guesstimate. They reject being pro-US and want to be pro-European. In years before,
most countries doing that now.
That's what I'm saying. In years before, that was not a distinction. But today, is a distinction.
Europe look like they want to go on their own.
Europe wants to. Good. Now, America's card about we are the largest budget in NATO, and we are responsible.
That doesn't say nothing. The equipment is the most expensive.
You are responsible for NATO's defense, which is what President Trump says is something they have to really rethink. And I think you see what is happening, and this is the bigger point I was trying to tell you.
If you look at what happened, like for instance, why do you think Trump wanted to take Greenland? Because Russia, Nordic operations.
Yes.
Encroaching there. And they don't want they to be like Russian.
Yeah.
Russia.
Yeah, it's chess.
So it's chess, it's a whole chess game.
But if you're realizing what is happening through this conflict in all around the world, is that what happens with enslavement or captivity, people sit in captivity and try to work out how are we going to end this. Now, it's not something they work out in the immediate. So America is trying to work out the stranglehold, the noose that is the Strait of Hormuz. And I heard today on the BBC, just as you said, there's another strait to worry about in case.
The Red Sea. Well.
Yeah, in case you get past this one somehow, there are more problems down the hill.
The 12%.
Right. So you're trying to take away Trump from somebody, and then it's the same thing with the EU. The EU is saying, you see this pro-US where we just jump in everything you say. I heard Keir Starmer saying today, reiterating that RAF airports are not for US attack, only for defense. He talked about their relationship with Cyprus, and they're having bilateral discussions with Cyprus, again not engaging the US. So somehow the world seems to be leaving the US and Israel in the corner with their fingers on their lips by themselves.
Yeah.
Israel is supposed to have a meeting tomorrow in America with Lebanon.
I do feel Israel will survive this.
You think?
Nah, I feel Israel will survive this.
Based on what?
Well, you see, what if Israel start back hitting Lebanon or hitting anywhere in Iran's proxy forces. Anyway, that going on, a whole war going on, flare up.
But they've never stopped.
Right?
The thing is, Iran hasn't restarted anything yet.
And when that happens, you're going on our real problems. Right now, they're trying to refuel and reload and all that kind of thing. But
which is what they're getting time to do with the little ceasefire with
Right.
America.
But-
We do have America to worry about.
But how long that little that you have? Because it's not like they could produce everything they need to be able to do it.
Correct.
So what they had in inventory, they take out, right? Which is making America weaker because you have the Taiwan situation and China. Yeah, they consider, and China did say that they will reunite Taiwan in 2027. That is less than a year from now.
While you over
So while you doing your thing, we don't plan to do what we had to do here. We know you can replenish.
They're not coming in now.
So them glad to an extent with what going on in across the let America destroy themselves.
Yeah, they get use out your bullets.
Yeah. And then when you're ready to come for me, we'll just obliterate you with laser and all kind of madness.
The blocks that traditionally form the world.
If you can't beat Iran,
are shifting.
If you can't beat Iran, you'll beat China. You're going to run in China.
They're not going to fight. They're not going to fight. But definitely the geopolitics is changing. And if you're not into war, that is okay. Because I'm not into it as well. You might find all this boring. But this has implications for international trade. International trade has implications for basic things like food and survival. Good? So for instance, part of the blockade is the blockade of fertilizers. If fertilizers are blocked, then the cost of food,
Get very much more
the
expensive.
longevity of agriculture around the world. And one thing we must do, even if we don't fight war, is we must eat. So the longevity of agriculture becomes a question, and it becomes questionable. So it is a very different world map that is being drawn here. Normally the EU and Britain and America stood hand in hand. Now we are seeing a little problem. The other problem is Lebanon is going tomorrow to America to talk peace with Israel. But Hezbollah has said, we not listening to UNO. We ain't listening to all you. So the ability of Lebanon to even control Lebanon is the Hezbollah.
Lebanon getting flattened and decimated because of Hezbollah.
And but Hezbollah listens to Iran, not Lebanon. So it comes like a thorn in your side that
So
is there to stay.
Hezbollah is saying we are here to protect our Iranian
Yeah.
ideals.
Yeah, we fighting with them.
We fighting.
But-
Lebanon don't want to get mashed up. Plenty people dying there.
Yes, but to
Lebanon
what
don't want
extent could they control Hezbollah?
So Israel doing something similar to what Iran is doing
Correct.
asymmetrically.
Correct.
But they're doing it very indiscriminately.
Very indiscriminately.
They killing people and they bombing up a whole
A
block to
yeah.
kill one man.
Yeah. And then say not the man wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's
They leveling a whole block to kill a man.
yeah.
I find that's they are. I could never not see them as war criminals.
No, I think everybody involved, even from the American point of view,
Boy, these people
there could be
are
no
crazy, boy.
justification
You can't do them thing where you bomb a school with school train
for
and
those things.
madness.
Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I just calling to ask because I didn't get to watch no world news for the day yet. What stage in the war we reach yet? Because I know we obliterated the Iran's nuclear capacity. Then after we went to what? We destroyed the Navy and the this and that. And just recently, well, them will close the strait along with Iran. I don't know if he changed something, if it's something else again today.
Well, caller, to answer your question, right? You would appreciate that propaganda is a serious part of war. Even locally, if you watch our own local politics, propaganda is part of the machinery of who do what, who say who. Iran says that Lebanon was always part of the deal. Pakistan says so. America said they never hear that. Israel say no. None of us were here. I wasn't there, you weren't there either. So the world is none the wiser. But what we know is that after the meeting on the weekend, they walked away after 21 hours. They walked away not agreeing on those fundamental things. So propaganda is a serious part of war. You don't really know who to believe anymore. So I agree with you. I don't know what stage it at. Well, today was block the blockade, but
I don't think Trump will be able to sustain that. He ain't going to be able to sustain that.
You can start that.
Yeah.
But after a while,
you can't sustain that. You're going to be hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And
you're putting in Navy.
But it was said in Trinidad, right? It are more people outside than inside. And I feel like we're not over there in the United States right now. Because, I mean, we had when the war, how much weeks ago, we did basically win the war, he was saying, you know.
Well, you know, Trump is irrational, you know, Trump is a moron, you know, Trump will say anything. You don't believe anything Trump says.
Then you threaten to wipe out the civilization. But all you have to remember, we on the front line in some fight where Winston was telling them, we in the front line with them and not mere observers there. I don't know if all they included in that, but hey, this place too sweet, yes. But a price will have to be paid nonetheless, you know, for it may not have to be paid right away, but a price will have to be paid. I mean, some people, rightfully so, are objecting to Donald Trump and his rhetoric. It still has some people who make up their mind that they're going all the way down.
I come on this program all the time. Whenever I talk geopolitics, I say that there will be blowbacks that will significantly affect Trinidad and Tobago. Not right now, not in immediate, but very soon. What are your take on that? Because now we are seeing Trump is saying he's going to block the blockade. What that would mean is that nothing will be flowing no way, nothing at all. Because the Strait of Hormuz was never really closed, by the way, you know that, right?
Yes.
The Strait of Hormuz was never really closed, you know? It was close to American interests. Right?
Yes. And
so,
I know that.
So now you're blocking the blockade. The only reason why you're blocking it is because, you know, other nations like China, Russia, whoever, are benefiting from it.
Well, the thing is,
what will be the consequences of that now? If that should you know, prolong for any significant period?
Well, it has ups and downs for Trinidad, but ultimately, when you're looking at things from a principle standpoint, what Donald Trump really is showing to the world is that when you're holding power, you basically could do as you please. But the thing about that is, not everybody, how to put it, boy, able to separate certain things. So you see how the Guyana president was speaking favorably about having a relationship with Trinidad, even though it had little tugging and back and forth. Not everybody who holding power able to do that. Some people just taught feelings like Donald Trump. So when persons leave office and other persons like Donald Trump end up in office all over the world, well, humanity will have a hell of a price to pay. Anyhow, I locked on and listening, gentlemen. As usual, it's a wonderful program, but it's really time for the human beings on the face of the earth to really start to demand more from people who want to lead humanity. I locked on and listening.
Yeah, it is. The options on the dice on the chessboard are becoming very, very polarized, and
You might see the queen lying down just now.
America started off,
Then the king
and
gets
I was watching on at your moral war. We had question marks, and you start, and the war start, but it's turning into I don't know where we're going next. And things just keep changing and changing, and I don't know. I am lost as to the original questions as what is the objective. And if you say you achieved your objective, then fine. You obviously don't agree on the enrichment of uranium. Good. For nuclear purposes. I do agree, however, and that's my view, that Iran pose a threat to world security. That is not the same as Iran threatening world security on a day-to-day basis. I think they had their own philosophy. So the fact that they chanted death to America, for me, presented a threat. But that is different to attacking America, which they did not do. Right? We know how they feel about Israel. Death to Israel. Okay, we hear that. I don't think that's nice. But that's different from attacking Israel. You know? I would separate the two. So to say that it presented an existential threat is one thing. But if that was the basis on which you started the war, what's the problem now? If you bomb them down, you mash up all the plane, you do this all day. Somehow they managed to shoot one of your plane out the sky the other day. All right, let me see they get a lucky shot. But if you have done the damage that you said you've done, then why isn't the game over? If you, Israel did, wiped out 40 people out of the leadership. 40. Right? I don't know what number you was going to stop at, but that's a significant number.
You know what I mean? They are able to do that, right?
Oh.
They are able to do. They just want to get your cell phone number, and they track you by your cell phone. So it's just like the pager, infiltration in Beirut and Lebanon, and most of Hezbollah operatives got killed with that. Iran, that's how Iran fight the war. They know they just need to get, so you one of the leaders, we need to get his cell phone number. Once we get his cell phone number, we know where he is at any time.
Well, I have read in awe the Israeli strategy where it concerns those things. Because it speaks to a multi-layered strategy of hunting down your opponent. Now you just leave it in your opponent. Because I'm not looking at the right or the wrong of the matter, because I don't believe in that type of killing. However, it's a complex puzzle of economics and politics that you have to play. Because what also happened...
And espionage.
And you must give the Mossad...
Mossad is like the CIA.
Yeah, because
they infiltrate people.
The literature tells you that after the Iranians found out that it was through the cell phones that they were being hunted, they ordered that all the officials not carry cell phones on them. However, they forgot the bodyguards. and all their bodyguards
Yeah.
also carried cell
We
phones.
call it bodyguards with that.
Of course.
So now nobody's allowed to.
Right.
They're allowed to carry
And
cell phones
then
and pagers and communication
It,
devices.
the literature says that Israel bought the companies that supplied the cell phones to the government officials. So it is not just, and that's why I was explaining to the caller that propaganda is a serious part of war. You know, propaganda is a serious part of elections. If you feel you win elections about what you think and how much the people love you, go on the internet. Go on the internet and see how those things, because they credit Hungary for Donald Trump's winning the election too, you know. They say they were heavily involved. I don't know the technology behind it. Good. They credit the Kremlin for being involved. But apart from the espionage part of it, the technology allows for this type of influence in elections across the world. It doesn't matter where you are. So propaganda and propaganda machinery is a serious part of any kind of a war.
Yeah, that is a major derivative.
Major part. If you cannot control the newspaper,
You can't control
the media,
consent.
yeah, and your good friend Putin understands that.
No, well, he doesn't even fight for it again. It's just given to him. I love Putin.
The strength of the Kremlin is zero tolerance.
Yeah.
No Facebook, no YouTube, forget it. We ain't risking that. You know? They have.
Other go inside and play with other baby.
I think they said they have a government version.
Play with other baby tank. Other baby nuclear weapon and thing.
They say they have a government version of Facebook and TikTok. You know, use our version. Download that.
I like North Korea. So North Korea is even worse, you know.
It's even worse. So we are really free in this part of the world, you know. We
don't know how free
we don't know how free we are. We say anything, publish anything, write anything.
We taking pity anything.
You might end up in court, you might get sued, but you're poor. Whoever in other countries, you'll go missing. In other countries, you know, I was watching when Maduro was captured by the US, and there was the political prisoners were released. I said, whoa, he lock up plenty people, boy. You see people running out of coming out of the jail, hugging their families, big crowd. And suppression of these, and that is why suppression of media and these things is a dangerous thing. It's something that creeps on you.
Every warring nation know that. I mean, every warring nation know that you have to be able to manufacture consent. And the thing is, if you look at America, I don't look at American news again because American whole news infrastructure is biased. It's designed to say that America is the best, America is the brightest, America is and they have been able to infiltrate almost all the hearts and minds in the West. So if you talk to anybody who does not understand the true nature of geopolitics, they'll tell you, boy, nobody could bomb America. But look what happened with American equipment right in Iran. Look what happened with it, right? Yeah. If Iran could do that to your equipment, sink some of your boats, hire your supercar you're running and all that kind of thing. If Iran could do that, then what China will do here, boy? And Iran doesn't have no real military.
I do not like to talk about China. Because you are talking about Armageddon. I leave China for last. Because after any Chinese or Russian fight, it is the end of the book. You know, the chapter at the end, that is the end. So, and I think China and Russia understand that.
They understand that, which is why
they understand that
passive role
that little red button, when we press, it's not just game over. It's no more game. Maybe the rapture or some kind of thing going to happen.
Yeah.
When we press this little button. So they don't get excited and drawn into a little cat fight. If it's not a real fight, leave us alone.
But in any case, them want to survive. They don't want
exactly.
To, they want to
Because
trade.
who wants to do?
They want to live. They want to trade. They want to fight. They want to be no hegemon.
Yeah.
You know, although we already move into
because we do know
a unipolar world.
Let me take this caller.
We already moved into a unipolar world.
Good afternoon, caller.
How's that?
Good afternoon.
I welcome over a blessed weekend ahead.
Yes.
And I would like to say condolences to the little 7-year-old family.
Yes.
Who lost her life by a donkey riding individual and don't understand the rules of the law. So condolences.
That was sad.
Whereas, yeah, I could relay the kind of feeling because this week would have make it 10 years. Her anniversary, she would have been 10 years old today, right? And gone beyond. But you see, when it was man-made,
call it 10 years. I don't understand what you're trying to say.
No, I'm saying I can relate to the loss.
Okay.
Because this week, an individual will be 10 years old.
Yeah.
Which had gone.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. Okay.
And when you miss a loved one, it'll be hard.
Yes.
Right? But under the circumstances, the 7 years gone, it's that is even more worse.
Yes.
So I will ask the adjudicators today on this game. You see the one in the kind of orange and the one in the blue, adjudicator, they're talking, but they're not saying that these fellas on them they will have a big piece of stick to bully the world. If I get back my mouth with it. Because when they lost, they were back the mother. And these are things they hold it as big stick to keep me as a bully. So we just going normal. And I can understand umpire how when you tell me to clap, I have to clap. When you tell me to laugh, you tell no one to stop. And that is happiness. That is freedom. But then again, if I see an easy way to make $1, and I tell every car coming over the Caroni Bridge that they pay me 25 cents, because when it floods, I'll get a boat to come down to Adongan Highland. So you see, they capitalize. And they know anytime you listen to me, the world feel the pain. So adjudicator, these two umpires is doing good enough. But the real talk is, in the pavilion is, that who want a bully to have a way, and not by governance and by law. Because you see, when some man get paid, they forget to pay the light bill. When some man get paid, the bank has to take out the installment as they pay. I want to do with the money. No savings. But I will leave that because that other part, I'm afraid to go there. That's why I was looking for Bin Laden. How's that?
Have a good evening, caller.
No, I didn't follow all, but I know that caller is an avid cricket fan. You know, it's not everything we understand. So things are changing, and as you say, we could get carried away watching these things in the world and talking other people's business. And apart from that, focusing on how these things will affect us. And what our plans if any, what plans can we concoct?
Well, Trinidad and Tobago, more than any other places in the Caribbean, have, but I wouldn't say more than any other because there might be a optics in tourism also, but we have some natural get through or rescue plans, escape routes, but we had to use it wisely because the major thing that this war is about and it affects is the movement of energy. And if the world needs energy and we have some of that to be able to put out there, then we could probably benefit in some way from it. I don't know how prepared we are. Maybe the energy experts will have to tell us that. But clearly, outside of that, we have a situation which is inflation, and that could erode all the gains that we gain from what the energy windfall could bring.
Yeah, we have to navigate this corridor very carefully. So that's why we have the opinion, some of the senseless rhetoric we're getting involved in is of no benefit. There are much more pressing international and national issues for us to discuss. And there's much more planning to do, things to manage. We need to know what's going on with the CPEP workers, for instance. That
happening, that coming back?
We don't know. We just don't know. We need to know what is happening. I think that done. This final call. Go ahead, caller.
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
You mentioned a good point there that you should try to bring somebody on the program concerning the petrician because just after they had that it was shut down, part of it, there was a person from a committee who was on a radio station with an interview, and where they were showing you more than one, I think it was two of them or three of them, and they're showing you how much money petrician was really making. It was a very good interview. So if you could get somebody to come on the station, which you mentioned earlier on, concerning the real issue with petrician, and enlighten some of the other people and them. Thanks again and keep up the good work, my brothers, and all the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Senior Matheson, 1 minute, couple seconds.
Yeah, well, again, it is important that we understand the game of cricket and how it affects us. So, and when we talk about the game of cricket, we talk about the politics in Trinidad and Tobago. We talk about how what the batting side do and the kind of runs they score, or if they don't score runs, how it affects us in any event. But we need to look at the fielding side too, because the fielding side makes up the whole cricket team.
Yes. Match, yeah.
Yeah, and if we don't understand that, if we don't understand that, then we would have a very one-sided game.
Yeah.
But that being said,
and some of us enjoy one-sided sports,
well, yeah,
but that's of no value.
That's of no value.
You don't mind if you win, your team will win for the next 100 years. You good. Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense for the game of cricket.
That doesn't make sense for the game of cricket.
No, you're right.
But clearly,
so we need a good bowling side.
Clearly, what is happening? You see what's happening outside there in the Middle East. That's something we have to pay particular attention to.
Yes.
Because that could make us very volatile in terms of what our experience could be probably in the next few months.
And we are very, very akin to volatility.
Yes.
We are very, very
correct.
Subscribe to that.
Right. But tomorrow we will continue this discussion.
Nature's Touch Massage Therapy and Nutrition and Nature's Touch Youth Health Caravan invites you to join us live on the Street 919.